Hello, welcome to Star Wars Force Awakens Secrets Revealed. In this episode, I'm going to focus on Rey and Finn, really the subtext and nuanced performances that went into them and how they reveal a lot about the characters and what they're thinking and feeling. Just a warning, there will be complete spoilers. Please be warned that if you have not seen the movie, please stop watching right now. Go see the movie before you come back and watch this. First off, the Star Wars Force Awakens, I really enjoyed it. The movie is very nuanced. People came away with a lot of questions, but as I thought about it, there's a lot of subtext that gives you understanding to what's really going on in this movie. So as we read between the lines of what we saw in the movie, we can deduce from the subtext of the movie a lot of what is happening, deeper things that are going on. So let's jump in and talk about Rey as a character. The way that the movie focuses on her is actually very peculiar. A lot of things that brought up a lot of questions in our mind is because the movie is almost created from her viewpoint or from her perspective. There's a lot of the political things that we don't really get answers to, but as you know, Rey had no idea about what was going on in the world at that time. I would have to say that Rey is probably one of the most powerful light side Jedi that we've ever seen. The way that Rey is portrayed is that she is almost completely on the light side. This is in contrast to Anakin and Luke Skywalker, who were both teetering or tempted by the dark side. Anakin definitely turned, while Luke was kind of teetering at some points between light and dark. Well, Rey is firmly planted into the light side, and because of that, she's so powerful, and then Force comes naturally to her, and you can tell that through the different scenes that we get. Some people thought that it was a little bit weird that she picked up on the Force so quickly, but I'm going to go into how that everything that she did was fully explained in the movie. First off, she starts off in humble beginnings. She's a scavenger on Jakku. As a scavenger, you gotta think every single day she was basically making decisions to survive. In a very harsh environment, she was surviving. When she's scavenging for things and she's basically risking her life going into that Star Destroyer just for a meal a day, you gotta think about how much discipline and how much she was actually relying on the Force to get her through that. There's that guy who gave her the food and she could barely bargain with him. So she didn't overtly use the Force, but there was most likely the Force was using her and building her up from that very beginning. But she's learning how to take care of herself and defend herself, fight for herself. A lot of the things that come later in the movie is in direct relation to her upbringing on Jakku. So it's not a jump from suddenly she's all powerful, but it's that basically she has been built up this whole time. Now the Force, when she recognizes how to tap into that, she becomes even more powerful. A lot of people just think it's a little weird that Kylo Ren would lose to her, but that she had been building up to this point for her whole life. In the battle with Kylo Ren was obviously, he was injured by Chewbacca's blast. He was frazzled by the whole thing that happened with Han Solo. But at the same time, there was no Jedi around. Probably this was one of his first lightsaber battles that he's ever had as well. He was trained by Luke, we know that. So he probably had some training in that sense. But when we see that he took out some of Luke's students, he was with a bunch of the Knights of Ren. So he was basically in a big gang. You can see he took out maybe people with his lightsaber at different points, but in a lot of ways, he's not a tested wielder of the Force. He's still very much a Padawan, like the Supreme Leader Snoke says over and over that his training must be completed. He is very inexperienced with a lightsaber duel. You know, she's been skilled and been trained on Jakku for, by the Force. And therefore, when he does have his first like real lightsaber fight, she was able to upset. In a lot of ways, it parallels what happened with Luke at the end of A New Hope, where he gets that shot off on the Death Star. Luke kind of bests Darth Vader when Darth Vader is on his tail. Actually, the Millennium Falcon comes in and knocks Darth Vader out of the way, but in some ways, he's dodging Darth Vader around. It was a huge upset of Darth Vader, and it's also a huge upset to Kylo Ren at the end of this movie as well. And the fact that she could use the Force pull on the lightsaber is kind of like that one moment where she just clicked into the Force and was able to pull that off. It's kind of like that shot that Luke got off on the Death Star, was that she was able to get that Force pull on that lightsaber. That's the way I see it. Overall, I just really enjoyed Rey as a character. They are painting a picture up of her as being related to the Skywalkers in some way. It could possibly Luke Skywalker's daughter. I think it'd be really interesting if they decided not to do that. She's very good with mechanical things, just like Anakin was. She relates to the Force more like Anakin does than Luke does. When they found Anakin, he was actually developed in the Force quite a bit as well. not as a Jedi, but just in using the Force to pod race and using the Force to do different mechanical things, just as Rey was. And so Rey and Anakin both have that mechanical ability and just are very intelligent, like gifted people. But as you see, Rey is a lot older. She's had more time to develop that power. I think they're very related in that aspect. There are some people out there on the internet complaining that she just did everything right too often. But if you really go back through every scene, it's not a stretch. If you really understand who she is and where she came from on Jakku and the amount of survival on a daily basis that she had to deal with, it fits completely that with her recognizing that she has the Force, that she'd be taken to a new level. But she always has to struggle for it. She's still putting a lot of effort into what she's doing, puts so much effort into that fight with Kylo Ren. She's really, really good at tapping into the Force and going off her instincts. It's coming all very natural to her. I think that makes total sense with her survivability skills that she learned on Jakku, how she matched those up with the Force and was able to pull off what she did in the movie. So I think everything is fully explained with Rey as a character. We don't know where she came from or who left her there on that planet. We know there's that vision of her where she was left as a child and she's waiting for those people to come back and get her. You also see that she's extremely loyal to that idea. I think everything will be told and resolved, and if she's Luke Skywalker's daughter, there's gonna be a lot of explanation as why Luke didn't take her with him. I feel like that's kind of a weird explanation for it. I would like to see that she's actually another embodiment of the Force, much like Anakin was back in the day. They're building her up to have a lot of characteristics of Anakin, but this time she's like 100% on the light side.